All right, so this is part 3 of our cross-country trip, and this is the last stretch in the adventure that we had on our trip. So we were heading over to Moab, and we were doing Arches National Park, and we went to Canyonlands and Deadhorse Point parks. So this is just some of the footage along that. We had, I think it was 3 days in the area to check things out. So this was the first day we got there. It was kind of in the afternoon, but we were able to catch a sunset at this point. And this was in, I believe it was Canyonlands. We took our little mocking chairs that you fill with the air and found us a good spot to just kind of hang out, take in the sunset. There was actually no one in the park. I think we may have passed 1 or 2 cars. So I don't know. I mean, it was, during the summer. So I was expecting it to be busy, but I don't know if it's because it was the sunset or what the deal was. But I felt like we had the park to ourselves. So we just chilled out, took in these amazing views. I did get my drone out and fly just a minute to get a couple of shots of the area right at sunset, just so you could kind of see the vastness of the area that we were in. These next few shots are what I was able to capture with my drone. Like I said, I just took it up for maybe a total of 5 minutes because I don't think you're really supposed to fly your drone. But like I said, there was nobody in the park, and I really wanted to just try to capture a few really, cool shots of the surrounding area. And I do apologize. Some of the videos, they were probably out of chronological order because where I was using my drone, I think I used my GoPro a little bit, and then my cell phone. It arranged the videos kind of out of order, but I'm pretty sure this was part of the drive as we were heading to Moab. And then, like I said, we went to Canyonlands for the sunset. So I'm pretty sure this was on the way driving into the Moab area before we checked into our hotel. I don't know about everybody else, but to me, just driving around out in this part of the country, seeing these magnificent rock formations and just the terrain, it's just otherworldly to me. We have mountains where we live, but they're not like this. Of course, they're covered with trees and greenery, but there's something about just seeing the rocks exposed like this. I just find it to be just completely breathtaking. So these next few pictures and videos, this was at a rest area that we stopped at. I can't remember the name of the town that we were in. I just know it was along the path at some point. But it was like a rest area. They had some picnic tables. So we got out here. I did get my drone up in the air just to get a little video and capture some shots of the surrounding area. But I just think it's so cool that, you know, you're going down the road, you need a break, pull off at this rest area, and you get these views. They had a couple little walking trails. We didn't really venture out on those because it was an unexpected stop, but we needed a break just to stretch our legs a little bit. And of course, we'd already drove out and we were heading kind of back, making our way back towards home. So we were tired, kind of sick of being in the car. So we wanted to take advantage of, getting out, stretching our legs, just enjoying walking around, not being stuck in the car. But love this area. And again, just the scenery everywhere is just, I could just drive around and just for days and just take it all in. So over here we went to Deadhorse Point. We wanted to catch a sunset, but as you can see in the pictures, when we pulled into the park and we got to the little parking area, it came a massive storm. The wind was insane. I was afraid we weren't even going to be able to get out and see it. Everybody that was there was running to their cars, leaving, but it blew through really quick, and then the skies kind of cleared up. So we were able to walk out and take in some of these views, which I'm very thankful for. Not much of a sunset because the skies were so cloudy, but I am thankful that the rain and that insane storm did, kind of blow through pretty quickly. And our last national park adventure on our trip was Arches. We absolutely loved this park. The hiking trails, we did several of those. It was incredible. I will say the park is extremely busy. We did have to get a permit to enter the park. We did our permit, I want to say it was at 7:45 or 8 a.m. I had heard that you want to get there early. Not only for the heat, because it was extremely hot this day, but also the park fills up so fast. The parking spots, they get filled up, and the Delicate Arch, the parking for it, like I said, I know we were in the park by 8 a.m. and the parking lot to park for Delicate Arch walk was almost full at that point. So I don't know what time people started rolling in, but it was already super, super busy. And out of the couple of hikes that we did, that one was the busiest, but I think it's just because it is kind of the most popular one. But any of them, even there was a few that we didn't do the entire hikes. We, would go so far, and because we were limited on our time, plus we were kind of exhausted. But there were, a couple of spots, different arches that I wanted to take in for sure. And another thing that I love about a lot of the national parks is the fact that even if you are not able to get out and do the hikes, or if the weather's not cooperating for you to get out, or if you just don't enjoy hiking, you can drive. Most of them have loops that you can drive, through the park to get to the different hiking trails and stuff. And, all the visitor centers, they're going to have maps of the parks. So, you can really enjoy the parks without even getting out of your car. Of course, they've got spots to pull off if there's a certain area that you want to, pull over, take in, get some pictures, stuff like that. But I just really love that even if you are not able or you just don't want to get out to do the hikes, that you can still enjoy some of the scenery and the beauty of these parks that we have in our country. And this trail here, in my opinion, this was a good one once the day, it started getting hot, because I don't know if it was where you're between the rocks, if it was the sand. Of course, there were some shady spots as well, but it felt like it was a break from just being out in the beating down sun. It's 3/10 of a mile, so there's not, really a lot to it. But it was a nice little area, like I said, to just kind of beat the heat for a little bit. Plus you get, another arch right here, taking the scenery. And it wasn't very busy when we went, but I think at this point in the day, most of the people were doing the Delicate Arch Trail, and that's why this one wasn't so busy. There may have, been 15, 20 people or so on the trail the whole time that we were there. So the longest hike in the park that we did, I'm not sure if it is the longest one the park has, but it's the longest one we done, is of course the Delicate Arch, which seems to be the most popular one. The views are incredible. I will say there is a stretch where you're climbing rocks. It was a little bit exhausting for us. We may not be in the best physical shape. Other people may not find it that hard of a hike, but that part I thought was pretty grueling. And then there was one spot where you're kind of walking on the rocks and it just drops off, and it's not super wide. So if you're passing people, the person that's coming back, they're going to be on the outer edge typically. That was a little bit nerve-wracking for me. I'm not terrified of heights, but if there's just a drop off and I'm right on the edge, it does kind of, freak me out just a little bit. But the views here, they were beautiful. It was kind of busy, but I will say the good thing there is people kind of formed a line so that everybody could walk out under the arch and get their picture made. And, they allowed time. It's kind of quick, though, for everybody to walk out and get a picture. We actually didn't do that part because it was pretty busy. So we just kind of sat down, just taking it all in, kind of people watched a little bit, and then walked around that area to just get different viewpoints of Delicate Arch. But I do think that it is cool that, everybody kind of has some consideration for all the other people around them, that they do, trade off form a line so that you can get your picture made under the arch. So after we left Arches and the Moab area, we headed over, go through Colorado. These are just some pictures. We stopped. I got my drone out to get a couple of pictures of the scenery as we were driving. When we got to Denver, it was just kind of an overnight thing. We went downtown. We did walk around a little bit. We ate at Cheesecake Factory, but I didn't really get any pictures. Because this was the last stretch of our trip, so we were pretty well exhausted. The heat had about zapped us, driving nearly 7,000 miles. Everything, at this point, we were worn out. But we stopped here as we were heading into Colorado because I thought that the views were amazing with all the evergreens. So I got my drone out, and then, like I said, we stayed overnight in Denver. Then we got up the next day and started home. And this was just a random stop on our way home. We seen a sign for it on the interstate, and we stopped, and it was just everything Superman related. It was in this quaint little town, but the whole place was it was superhero everything, but mostly Superman. I just thought it was a really neat little place. But we checked that out, and then from there, we pretty well got in the car and hightailed it home.